So, I'm Justin Moravetz.
I'm Jake Kaufman.
We're going to cover why music matters. We're going to look into Proton Pulse, Vanguard V, the various techniques we use to get music in there, because music is so important. It's like half the experience for me.
It's 100% of it for me.
Oh, yeah. Well,
right? Gosh.
And we'll get into Pulsar Arena, some of the crazy stuff we did there, and the Unreal Engine with your NUREN project. That's going to be sweet.
Huh.
So like I said,
Who's that nerd?
Yeah, I know, right? Why it matters. So music is maybe, at least to me, one of the most effective ways to reach people emotionally. I mean, it's what drives the mood. You can do so much with that, and I can't even put it into words how important it is.
Good thing I can. All right, you guys, you hear music in your head when you're going about your lives, right? You hear like the mental soundtrack. Does anybody not feel that, right? We all hear music in our heads constantly. When you're in VR, like the last guy was saying, it tricks your brain into thinking, I'm actually in this world. I'm not sitting in my couch, with a bunch of trash lying around. I'm actually in this freaking awesome futuristic world fighting spaceships.
Yeah.
So when you hear that music, it's like it's replacing the score that's in your head already. And it really locks in a way that I've never felt anything else. As sort of a musical guy that lives this every day, like I have to listen to a lot of music and see pictures and try to fit them together, right? But it's never felt the same way as it does in VR. There's something about the audio experience that feels just so much more real.
Yeah.
So it's really important that, get this picture off of here, Justin. It's really important that we knock this out of the park, all of us as an industry, because it's the future.
Oh, absolutely. The Pulse and Proton Pulse. So in this particular title, we used a technique for listening to various frequencies in the audio to kind of trigger things, kind of the pulse and the scrolling effects. And we used a plugin off the Unity asset store called Visualizer Studio. And I mean, it was easy to get, it was there, and you can trigger events and make scripts for it all day long, and it works on all platforms. We had some trouble keeping it consistent because, the audio goes all over the place. This guy's nuts with his music. It was everywhere. And so, and there was some latency issues, and it didn't treat all platforms exactly the same. So this is kind of
what this one does essentially, not to interrupt, but
sure.
The previous one that we were looking at, essentially, you know how you have bass and treble knobs? They can split stuff into multiple frequencies and say, I'm going to take the highs from this and trigger something off of that, generate code, generate data, not code, generate a signal that can be used to trigger something like a lightning bolt or something like that. You can do the same thing with the bass and the mids. The problem is when you're dealing with a really full mix of music, it's a mush. You can't actually get any useful stuff out of it. So you got to do it by hand.
Yeah, so what I did is I took all of his music and recreated it all just to feed that plugin the exact cues it needed to hear. And it was kind of nice to get inside your mind a little bit and work on that. But there were basically two tones, one for scrolling and one for pulse. And it sounded kind of like this when it was done. And so you can hear that some of that was pulse, some of that was scroll effects. It sounds good, but it could use some music, So
here, bang and beat, dude.
Yeah, right? So here's an example of how it worked in the game itself. And so you can kind of hear the music, you can see some of the scrolling effects and some of the pulsing effects. And this just got updated to Unity 5, so there's some lighting issues, but you can see which frequencies it's listening for. And that's what it's actually hearing on the Visualizer Studio part, and you can see which frequencies it's listening to. And that's what's creating all of the events in this game.
Bass drum.
Yeah,
you hear that? This one over here is douche, douche, douche. That's controlling that ring. Douche, douche, douche. You see it? Does everybody understand what's going on? You guys are getting it, right? Okay. This can be it's like immediately intuitive to certain type of people that have experience with this, but it's like amazing that you can control what's happening on the screen just with notation data from the music directly.
And when it's all put together, this is kind of the effect we get. You hear your guitars coming in at this point.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, you can essentially play the entire world just with all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can control basically the entire game.
Has anybody played New Super Mario Brothers? Oh, come on, guys. Well, in New Super Mario Brothers, all the Goombas and all the turtles and all that stuff, they all go and hop. And that's embedded in the MIDI data that was composed for the game. So every song, every level has one of those little bits, and every time that hits, it sends a trigger to the engine that then says, okay, make these guys jump. So you can actually trigger things in the soundtrack that happen in the game world pretty much easily at this point. It's been a trick that's been in use for 20 years in conventional games, but we want to bring it into VR in a big way.
Yeah. In Vanguard V,
oh Lord,
yeah, I took a different approach with this one, and so it's a linear experience, which enabled Jake here to compose music like he would for a movie. There was no looping music, there was no code on my side, so really the only thing I had to do was pass you a video of the gameplay, send you tacos or whatever.
Yep.
But basically everything was on this guy, and it was when I got the music back, oh wow.
So the problem with this is that it's a film score. I'm just a film composer in this game, but it's not, because the action has to be incredibly accentuated, and it also has to be repeatable, because you're going to be playing this level a lot. So it's not just the same as a movie where you watch it once a year or something like that. You're going to be hearing this a lot, and I really want to make melodic, memorable stuff because it's video games. And it was a little bit harder than if I were to score a film, even a VR film, because you had to hit all the beats of like the enemies coming in and all that stuff. So it wasn't interactive in code, it was interactive in our minds. We're thinking about the process as we're going. It's really important.
So in this video, what you're going to see here is this is with the music turned off.
Here we go.
It's just the sound effects at this point. And
This might seem logical, but I've learned you're not always driven by common sense.
Was that the bomb sound you were talking about?
oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to check that out.
He likes a bomb sound.
Yeah.
He wouldn't shut up about it.
So there's something missing here. I mean, we're flying through space, and there's dialogue going on, and we kind of hear jets going on and things like that. But it really kind of emphasizes why music is so important, because it really sets the mood. It sets up what's coming. You get kind of a cue of what's ahead with music. There's so much you can do to connect with people in music. And so here in a second, we're going to have the parasites come in, and usually that's when the music would come in and start ramping things up. So we're going to bring in the music here in just a second. And
Yeah, this looks like a free play demo, like insert coin.
all right.
Nothing
I
going
really
on,
should
right?
say that, shouldn't it? Okay.
Tap side to begin.
Yeah, that's much better.
I would like conduct with the laser, but I'd like blind all of you, so
Yeah.
whatever.
So here we're removing all of the sound effects, so you can just see how the music syncs up with the events. I love that part.
So you can tell I'm essentially going for the late 70s giant robot anime feel with this, because why not if you can? So, but the key is to find people that you can work with that share your passion, because it doesn't matter how many tech tricks you learn if you don't have the right people to work with. Like they were just saying, it's useless. So you have to find people, like my palette swap twin brother over here, that you can completely connect with. And then you will find ideas. You will come up with stuff like this, technical hacks like the Proton stuff. It'll just naturally happen because you're passionate in brainstorming. That's I guess the key to successful development is just to
Yeah, and
find
when
the
you
right
bring in the
people.
low strings here with the space debris coming, it hits
By the way,
hard.
this whole soundtrack is going to be available on Bandcamp for free because that's how I release all my stuff.
Oh yeah, no, his stuff is great. Certainly check that out. And so here in a little bit down the road, we're going to bring the sound effects back in and show you how everything links together. So we have the VO and the music and the events, and you take kind of a pause in your music at one point just to make room for the explosion and the VO there, and it's so well synced up. It's really important because, I mean, you can go to the Unity asset store and pick up some generic stuff, but it never quite fits right. So We put a lot of work into how things sound.
Yeah, everybody's talking about graphics and new techniques, and the audio is incredibly important for VR. It's so integral to the experience, and music is just a gigantic part of that.
All right, so we're gonna fly through here, go up and right through the rocks. I like the trumpet here, by the way.
If you had spent more time with the training module and less on the information networks, you wouldn't need so much rocket fuel in the first place.
Effects. Oh my god, it's so good. I wake up every morning and I'm like, I get to work on this. Oh my god, it's so cool. It's great. It's great to be able to just work in this brand new medium and make magic in it.
Oh yeah.
Let's all do that, all of us. So yeah, we have more.
Yeah. Last spring there was a VR game jam for the Gear VR, and being the idiot that I am, I bit off way more than I can chew, but it was very, very fun. In this game, music controls everything, and I mean everything. It controls the animation of characters, how they're timed, animation of the scene, how you shoot, the gameplay, AI, VO triggers, absolutely everything. And so how we got it to work is, again, I took your music and I recreated it in Renoise. Renoise is a package you can get for Linux, Windows, Mac, to do tracker music. Now, what's kind of cool about that is when you save a file, it saves it as an XRNS. You rename it to a zip, and you can open it up. And inside there is this nice little gem called song.xml.
XML, now you're talking my language.
Yes, and so you can bring that into Unity, parse it, and control things with it. So we can see the pulse of the pulsars, all the animations, the things like that. Triggers the particles, and yeah, like I said, it drives the AI events, and it's.
I mean, literally anything that any function that you can call anywhere in the game, you can just trigger through music.
Now, we used the audio settings.dsp time in Unity to keep everything in sync with the audio, because you'll get CPU spikes and various other things, and things will drift out of sync. So it's really important when you're doing audio sync to use audio settings.dsp time for Unity specifically.
Yeah, guys. Word of advice: Unity's audio handling is still in progress. It's still kind of rough, and there's every time I've had to do anything in Unity, and I programmed my own stuff like dozens of times, and every single time it's a nightmare just trying to deal with the DSP stuff and bit bang buffers by yourself. It's like, speaking of bit bang, let's do this.
Yeah. So here's some of the XML. It stays always in sync. It doesn't fall apart with CPU spikes. You can drive many things. Platform agnostic, works on anything. Latency can be compensated for because it has this data in advance. It doesn't have to wait to hear it first. That said, you have to create all of the data, so you have to recreate the music. And it has pretty high level integration. Let's take a look though. So here we have Dan Sexbang from Game Grumps in Pulsar Arena, and we are going to see.
Does anybody know who Game Grumps is? Come on, guys. I believe you all do, but you're shy.
Yeah, you're just being shy. So here we see on the right the music through the tracking software, controlling the animation, which was me in a mocap suit, but that footage is confidential. And up at the
it's
top
not
right.
For me, it's not.
And we have the animation tree at the top, and you can see how the various notes and things trigger how this character moves. And one of the other tracks here has the green ball moving up. I used the Proton from Proton Pulse in this title. and you can see it moving up and down with the music. He's actually fighting, if we were to look up in this title, you'd see Cymatic Bruce going, so that's his voice going, oh yeah, so, but yeah, it's, we're gonna watch this for just a sec. I can't get enough of it. He's shooting from the hips officially, if any.
And that's all just in mocap. He's like, I'm wearing your skin now, baby. Aw. You guys can tell we have fun doing this, right?
We had 6 weeks to make this game, and I couldn't have had a better time. This was fantastic.
She's like, I need like 12 songs. Like, I'm like, when? It's like, next week, and one of them has to be
Oh, he's doing a special move now.
Brazilian carnival music mixed with steampunk, and I'm like, I hate you. What? But we did it, and it was cool.
Yeah, I only had, I mean, I had 7 characters in a 6-week project, which is nuts. But yeah, I'm just gonna watch this. I could watch this all day.
All right, but we're running out. We should move on.
Yeah.
I also want to watch this all day, and I will when I get home. You guys can too. Oh crap.
Yeah.
My thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're making, like I said, we're making one of the world's first musical full-length experiences in VR, and it's a story told over 7 segments, and each one is different, but it's all kind of in a post-apocalyptic cyberpunk universe with dancing robot girls who are not in this video because they're being worked on right now. They're in the shop. But we're doing the very same thing that he's doing, but instead of doing it through recreating everything manually in Renoise, I'm using MIDI data, and I'm actually playing the scene with my keyboard like an instrument. So everything you're about to see in the world, literally everything, the emitters of the particles that are going around, the lasers and stuff, the way the city is pulsing, and different parts of the city are pulsing at different times. Those are all bass drum, snare drum, bass, melody. Those are all things from the actual music. And I've just taken those tracks from my composition and just gone whoop and thrown them into another track. And then our programmer wrote a system to parse that MIDI file, spit out the data just like he has, and seek in it, which is really hard in MIDI.
Yeah.
The guy's a ninja. So.
Yeah, that guy's crazy.
All right, check it out.
Yeah, let's see it.
And this is Jessie Seeley singing. She's incredible.
Yeah, she did the voice in the intro for Vanguard V too.
Yep. That's all real time. It's a special motion graphic system that he's developed, similar to MoGraph in Cinema 4D. Or is it Cinema 4D? I forgot to look that up. Anyway, it's great for motion graphics, like After Effects-y kind of stuff, and neat little doobobs and stuff, like flying around. You can use arbitrary geometry. You want to shoot out like Kanye's face, like times 1,000. You can do that. Shoot out my dog's face, whatever. But right now we're doing cubes, for some reason. VU meters, those are reading frequencies because we don't need the precision of MIDI devices. And those particle sprays, those are snare drums.
It was a lot of fun working on this project, by the way.
Check this out. Your composer modeled that chip. Woo!
You're a 3D animator now.
Yeah. I also modeled the city. It's not very good, but it's dark, so you can't tell. All right, check this out. Or don't. Come on. That. Do. That's the kick drum. That's the snare drum. Watch the white thing. We're driving the entire thing through music. So we're gonna give you the links. Let's move on from that.
Oh yeah.
We're
I
gonna
think
give you
in this
links to find
particular
out
spot,
about
like Nugget is behind.
Oh, did you see him?
Yeah, he's somewhere in there. He's not in this video.
Oh, forget.
Yeah, his dog is in here
We
somewhere.
we have Easter egg. Like we have fun doing this. Which
Oh, yeah.
Is why we put all this stupid stuff in there.
All right.
But yeah, we want to teach you and show you and help you and welcome you into this scene.
So I'm going to be putting up some demonstrations, some code examples, things like that I used for both Proton Pulse and Pulsar Arena. It's not up there yet. It's coming very, very soon. And we're going to show some of the behind-the-scenes footage of how I got that stuff working. And we'll have the links to the demos as well.
Yep.
And
it'll all be there for you. If you're watching on YouTube or whatever, just pause this and look at Nugget for a while. We have about time for like maybe one question at this point, but who's going to be the lucky person?
Any question? Well, we can't see you. It's kind of blinded with
And we
lights.
care all about audio and games. Any questions or curiosities?
No? Oh, wait. Here we are. Yes.
Yeah. Don't be shy.
So what would you say is the main difference between doing music for a conventional game and now for VR?
I would say the chief difference is immersion and positionality. In NUREN, we're going to be having sound sources, including drums and guitars and voices and stuff, coming from different parts of the scene. And it's not just like in a normal surround game that has Dolby, 5.1 support or whatever. You're actually there. So it's very important that you get the positionality and the dimensions correct. And that involves reverb. It involves all kinds of, occlusion for geometry. Like if you really want to do it properly, you want to use middleware that supports stuff like this, like Fmod or WWise.
Yeah, WWise is good.
Yeah. So the challenge is just making a place, because when you're watching a 48 frames a second movie, and it's like everything just kind of looks a little bit more fake because there's so much more detail. It's kind of like that in VR. Like the textures have to be primo because they're gonna look crappy if they're not. The sound is the same way. If it's not convincing and you don't feel like you're actually in that space, it's just not gonna work out. So I think we might have time for maybe one more, you think? No, I think we get 30 seconds.
So, I'd like to thank Jake because honestly, he got me going in all of this VR stuff, Proton Pulse and Vanguard V. His stuff has been amazing.